Alright then my friends, so the only thing that you're going to need to get started is some kind of text editor designed for writing code in. So that could be Sublime, Atom, or even just Notepad++ if that is your preference. However, I'll be using my favourite editor at the minute, which is VS Code, and you can get that from code.visualstudio.com. Now VS Code is an editor by Microsoft, and it comes along with some great tools for programming with JavaScript. It's also going to allow us to install some helpful extensions, which is going to make working with JavaScript much easier, such as a local development server that we can use to preview our work in a browser. So if you want to follow along exactly as I do, make sure you head to this website and click this download button right here. You can have it for Windows or Mac, and then just go through the installation steps. So once you have it installed, just boot it up. And it's going to look something like this to begin with a welcome screen and maybe some release notes. Okay, so this is going to be our file tree over here. But before we dive into writing anything, first of all, I want to show you a couple of different extensions I've got installed for VS Code, which is going to help throughout this course. So click on this icon right here. This is your extensions icon. And there's three things I want to show you here. The first one, which is the most important one, is this live server package. Now this live server package is what is going to allow us to preview our websites in a browser, and I'll show you exactly how to use it later on. But to install it, just type up here live server. It should come up with this page and an installation button. Just click on that. Once it's installed, you probably will have to close down VS Code and reopen it for that package to take effect. So that is the most important package you should install. The other two are just kind of aesthetic packages. They make VS Code look nicer. The first one is Material Icon Theme, and this just gives our different files in the File Explorer on the left over here, when we come to create files, different icons. So for example, JavaScript files will have this little icon right here, so we can see at a glance what these different files are. So that's the second package. And the third one is Monokai++. This is just a theme for VS Code, and it colorizes our code to the Monokai color theme like this. Okay, so these two, not exactly important. The live server definitely is, and I would definitely install that because we're going to be using that quite a lot throughout this course. But first of all, what exactly is a server and why do we need one anyway? Alright then, so when we visit a website in a browser, what we typically do is type in the address into the address bar, press enter, and then that sends a request to a web server. And a web server is just some other computer out there on the web somewhere, and it's containing all of the different files that make up this particular website. So when we press enter and we send that request, the web server is going to receive that request and it's going to say, okay, I'll send you a response to the browser, and that response is going to contain the HTML, CSS and JavaScript that make up this website. So the browser receives that response and then it shows the website in the browser and we can see it. So that's the way this request and response cycle works. Now, since our files, when we make them, when we make our projects, will be stored on our own computer rather than some remote computer, because we don't want to keep up loading the files to the web somewhere to preview them. So they're going to be on our own computer. We'll need a way for our computer to serve the files to the browser as if we were visiting a real website. Now to do that, we use what's known as a local development server, and that allows our computer to act as a server for our websites. So we can type in a specific local address into a browser, hit enter, and that's going to tell our computer to serve up our website files, our HTML, CSS and JavaScript to the browser so that we can view them. And the address that we go to over here is called localhost, which just means we're using a local server on our computer. Okay, so that's what the package that we've installed into VS Code does for us. It allows us to use our own computer as a web server so that it can send back the files when we preview them into a browser, and it's going to make previewing our different projects really easy. So like I said, we've already installed the VS Code package we need to use the live server. So let's see it in action. Alright then, so let's have a look at this local development server in action. Hopefully by now you already have live server installed into VS Code. That's the package we need to spin up this local development server. So first of all, we need to go back to our file tree. So click on the top left icon right there to do that. I've already created a folder called chapter 1 and there's nothing in it whatsoever at the minute. What I want to do is create a new file inside here called index.html. Now, one of the cool things about VS Code is that it comes with a package called Emmet pre-installed into it. So we don't have to install anything else, it's already there. And what Emmet does is give us a load of different shortcuts to speed up writing our code. So for example, if I wanted to create an HTML document boilerplate, I could just type in doc, then press tab, and it creates all of this boilerplate code for me. That's pretty awesome, right? Cool. So inside the body now, what I want to do is an h1 tag. And again, I can use Emmet. I just type out the tag name, h1, then tab, and it's going to create those tags for me. Inside, we'll just say test. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and now I want to preview this HTML page inside a browser. Now remember, we need to spin up a local development server to do that, and we're going to use the package live server that we installed. So to use that, we just right click on the HTML file we want to view in the browser, and then we go to open with live server. So press that, and that should open it up inside a browser right here, okay? And the cool thing is, whenever we go down and do some kind of change, I'll do P and type in test again, and press save, it automatically updates in the browser. We can see that update right there, okay? Now pay attention to the address. We're going to 127.0.0.1 and then port 55 or 5500, 5500. Then we're going into the chapter 1 folder, then index.html. So I said before we'd go to localhost, but this thing right here, 127.0.0.1, that is the same as typing in localhost, then colon the port number. And this is going to do the same thing. It brings us back the same page. So those two things are synonymous, okay? So there we go, my friends. That's how we can use our live server package to spin up a local development server. So now when we view those in a browser at this address, we get those back. Okay, and this is the package that we're going to be using going forwards to preview our code inside a browser. So I'm going to be switching between the editor and the browser, and I'm going to assume that you've already gone to open with live server so that we can preview it over here, so that I don't have to keep on going down and going to open with live server and wasting everyone's time, okay? So now we know how to view our pages in a browser. In the next video, I want to just quickly talk about all the course files I'm providing you with in this course before we dive into actually creating some JavaScript.